Okay, today we are celebrating a very special occasion, the 60th anniversary of Oma and Opa. On June 24th, 1961, Dwight Elwood Houff and Carolyn Ann Ringgold were united in marriage, and this was the beginning of a new family. And now, 60 years later, there are the 4 children, there are 11 grandchildren, and 6 great-grandchildren. For any of us who've been married, we know that marriage takes a lot of hard work. I often like to say that marriage is the best thing and the hardest thing you'll ever do, but it's totally worth it. And we want to thank you, Mom and Dad, for doing the hard work and making it to this day, 60 years. We want to honor you today. We want to thank you for your love and commitment to each other, for all your hard work and service, for the ways you've blessed us. We appreciate your faith in God. We're going to hear us today tell some stories about how you've shaped our lives, how you've blessed us in so many good and positive ways. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Robin and Kiki first, and here's the microphone.
So I was given directions, and I didn't quite follow those. Because Brad had really encouraged us to share some stories about Mom and Dad. And everything I kept thinking about was just these little one-liners all along. And I kept thinking, well, what did I learn from those, or what did I experience? And so it dawned on me, Mom and Dad, that you have modeled a lot of different things to us that we've been able to hand on to our children and then great-grandchildren. So you started long ago modeling. And one of the first things that I remember is that you modeled for us how to see the needs around us. Mom, I remember that you drove, I don't remember how many of us were in the family at the time, but we would go and knock on the door of people and collect money for March of Dimes. Do any of you remember that? Okay. And then I also, some of the phrases that I'm going to use today are going to sound a little bit offensive to some of you because this was 55 years ago, but we had fresh air children come to our homes in the summer. And that means children who lived in the cities came out to the country. And so those are 2 of the things that I thought about. You saw needs and you met them. You modeled laughter. Mom, I remember you picking me up from school one day, and you took your gum out of your mouth and you looked at me and you said, you know where this gum is going to heaven? You know why? And I said, why? And you said, because I chewed the hell out of it. 11, I think. And Dad, any of us who are old enough to remember this, and this is what may be offensive, Dad used to tell Polak jokes around my grandmothers, and he would stand in the middle of 25 and 30 people and say, do you know what it looks like when a Polak pulls up his socks? And he would drop his pants there in the middle and then lean down and pull up his socks. So the family loved it, but it was a tad irreverent. But you modeled laughter. And I could go on with a lot of those. You modeled focused family time. And what I loved about some of our focused family time was that you also incorporated the Lord. We had family devotions where we stood in the corner after eating. We'd eaten together, and then we would read from a little devotional book after dinner. You modeled that having children is a good idea if you want jobs done around your house. So child labor ideas started with them. Do you all remember around the ping pong table having to put together cow catalogs for Dad's cow sales?
Put labels, stamps.
Yeah. Those were, I don't even know how many we did, but.
We went to health transfer and did it.
Okay. And then I remember hanging laundry, standing in a wagon. So I had to have been about 5.
Yeah.
Started early.
That's when my allergies started.
You have modeled for us what it looks like to be moved by compassion to do something for others. Dad, I know recently you told me about a grandfather who was raising his 4 grandchildren, I believe, 5 grandchildren by himself, and that moved you to make a sizable donation to make so that could happen. You've also, within that compassion, you have shown, and I've said this to Brandon several times recently when you've left our home, that we have a variety of people in our home, and somehow or another you get invited and you just easily meet people. You talk to them, you are engaged, and Brandon and I have had some experiences lately where that doesn't always happen when we go into someone's setting. And so you've modeled compassion that way as well. Mom, I know when the family whose house burned down, you were moved by compassion to meet a huge need. And then I think the two of you, I don't even know if I know all the details of everything that you've done at Bridgewater Home. You saw the needs of someone, you were moved by compassion, and then you came together to make that happen. You modeled humility. This was the one that was the hardest for me to put into words. Yes, there are times I have trouble putting something into words. We had a lot of resources at our disposal, we 4 kids, but I don't feel like you raised us to be brats, even though some of the gifts that we were given, we could have easily been. But we were taught to work, we were taught to be grateful, and we didn't brag or boast about what we had. And that started with the two of you. And lastly, you have modeled loyalty to each other and to God. Mom, I don't know if you still do it all the time, but I know that often you still make Dad's lunches. Yeah, okay. And Dad is taking care of your oxygen tank, I saw. So there are little ways and big ways that you model loyalty to each other. And then at times, when some things have been hard, there have been seasons of life that you've probably wanted to question God. Instead, rather than running away from Him, you've run to Him. So you've modeled loyalty to each other and to the Lord. And so we thank you for all of the ways that you've modeled really good things that will last in this family because of what you instilled to us, and then it gets spread down. So thank you.
All right, sorry, I have to read mine. First, I'd like to say that it truly feels like an honor to be able to speak today. Oh, sorry. Sorry. I don't. Okay. So growing up, is this good? Yeah. Growing up, my sisters and I moved a lot, like a lot. And to this day, I still don't really feel like I have a hometown. To me, home is and always has been 3006 Lee Highway. That's where my roots are and my most cherished childhood memories. Summers in the pool, of course. The smell of Christmas time at your house and it always feeling so magical. The kids' table. Tootsie. Martin's barbecue chips. Cattle sales. Playing vet in the basement and Brandon being the rabid dog. The candy cabinet, Pop-Tarts with butter, Lebanon bologna sandwiches, and playing on the tennis court and climbing over the fence to get the balls we hit in the field, because if we didn't get the balls, we would get fussed at. The two of you together created this safe space for us, and throughout all of the changes and transitions in my life, such as all the moves, my parents' divorce, and more, your home and your love has been something that hasn't changed. It has remained steadfast, reliable, and consistent. Your home has fostered love, warmth, and security, especially during the times my sisters and I have needed it most. And I know I speak for all my cousins when I say just how proud I feel to be your grandchild. I have officially lived in the Valley for 13 years now, and I have come across a lot of people in the community who know you. And the conversations they always sound the same. I can't look at you guys because everyone's crying. The conversations when I talk with people who know you are always the same. They say, oh, which house are you related to? And then a tingle of pride runs through me, and I tend to stand taller when I say Dwight and Carolyn House. They're my grandparents. And almost always the response is, oh, they're good people. And I never say it, but in my head, I always think, you don't know half of what they've done. You've taught all of us to be generous, but humble. And I'm so proud to be a member of this family that you two started. I respect you, I appreciate you, and I love you.
Good job.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Excellent. 2 Thessalonians 1:3. Your faith in God and your love for each other keep growing all the time. Is that scripture? I kind of listened to my brother, and I can reference a few story type things, but I am going to be a little more general. It's just what I think the Lord laid on my heart to share. We have the unique experience of living across the road from Mom and Dad for about 15 years, I'm thinking, Mike. A lot of fun times. The kids would run up the driveway, whether it was to swim or have a day with Mom and Dad, or go out on the farm, whatever it was. It was just very easy. It was even a nice sense of seeing them up there and knowing they were close by. Some of the fun times at my house was when they came down and played baseball in our driveway. And I love that as grandparents, they were doing it together, and I saw that. And Mike and I get that now. I didn't always get it when, okay, so you're seeing Brandon and Whitney, but they would get so excited. And now Mike and I get that. So it was just really special to watch the two of you be grandparents together, and we do not take that for granted. You supported us all, my family, through good times and bad. You were there for whatever came up. You were there at Grotto's Little League, AAU basketball, soccer games, a short time at gymnastics, high school basketball, football, cross country, track. You just showed up, and you have shown us what commitment to each other and to family looks like. After losing Mike's mom at an early age of 49, and then Mike's dad at 69, you have been Mike's mom and dad too. Your love is constant and consistent for us all. To see the two of you interact as a couple can sometimes be funny. I've had quite a few chances to see that. It might go something like, Dwight, why did you have to park here? Well, Caroline, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that far. It goes kind of like that. But you all were inspiring as we watched you all also grow together. You speak to each other in a respectful tone, at least in the four of us. That's what we witnessed, and I continue to hear from you. And it's refreshing, and it's probably more rare than what you all realize. You just think that's the way you're going to speak to a mate. That's not always so normal. It's also the little things you do. Dad pumps her gas. I don't know that Mom knows. I guess you know how to. Mom makes the sandwiches. The little things that they do is really special to see. I can't speak of you two without thinking of the influence you've had on me and helped to shape me without mentioning your faith and generosity. And those two have gone hand in hand, as it should. You raised us going to church, having devotions before dinner, and family time always included prayer. Jesus has been and is your rock, and I thank you for showing me that. You're generous in giving, whether it was to, just so many people. Sometimes it was gifts or loans of money to extended family. Sometimes we knew about it. Sometimes I think we didn't hear about it. Sometimes there were loans made and never repaid, but your heart was always in giving. You give to charities. I was even kind of blown away when you continued to support Pleasant Valley Church when you started going to Harrisonburg First Church.
because you just wanted that church to still thrive, and you cared about the people and what was going on there. None of us can think about generosity without the Talley family at the lake and what you've done there, and bless them. And that was a great witness to us too. You haven't just, though, been generous to others, you have also lived simply as you gave so much. It's been quite humbling. Everyone here today has been blessed by your tremendous generosity. It's changed lives, and it's changed our lives. You two are an inspiration. Dad, you are stepping into a new role, caring for Mom, especially these last few months, and we all thank you. You are the head of the family, and we respect you. Mom, you continue to put God and family first without asking for anything in return, and we all thank you. You two are an inspiration. You live with love, your love of each other and for all those lives that you touch. You live your faith, a faith that's reflected in your kind and caring hearts. It is a blessing to have you as my parents. You are appreciated so much for being a wonderful couple and two very special people. Happy 60th. I love you.
One of the things that maybe down the road, maybe a trivia question related to me could be, who taught me the game of football? And so I'm guessing it was like 95. We were at Robbins. I think we were staying at Robbins, and some of us went, I can't remember who all was at the game, but we went to a Tech UVA football game at UVA. And I can remember clearly Oma showing me the different things on the big scoreboard, down and distance, and she basically taught me the game of football, I felt like, that night. I remember UVA won the game, unfortunately. But I think Brad mentioned in the text that Mom shared with me to kind of reflect on how Oma and Opa have shaped me. Obviously, sports has been a big part of my life and what I do in coaching and those type things. And she shaped me into being a Cowboys fan, quite certainly, and brainwashed me, some would say. But certainly all the memories, I've got a lot of sports memories, certainly with both of you all that, it's been a lot of fun for sure. A few days ago, I started to think a little bit more in depth about what I wanted to share, and now I got to remember what day were you at our house this week, Oma? Was that Thursday? Was it Thursday? No, at Mom and Dad's house. Yeah, on Thursday, and I walked by her car, and I had to confirm this with her a little bit ago on what the sticker said, because I got my mind, I thought I had the words mixed up on a sticker that's on her car. And there's a sticker on her car that says, more than me. And I think that theme, I've seen both of you all exhibit that in a lot of different ways to a lot of different people. I've seen, your relationship with our family. It's more than just about you all. Your community. One of the things I've really appreciated is how much you care about, the community that you're in, other people, and certainly to be married 60 years. It's got to be more than just about you. So that's one of the things that just jumped out at me when I saw that sticker, because I've really thought about you all, and I just appreciate how much really that you do for other people, how much you've sacrificed really for a lot of other people, how much you've helped other people, and the example for me in that way has just been such a blessing. And I thank you for that. Certainly congratulate you on 60 years on behalf of our family. And I'm going to stop talking because I don't think not much more I can get through. But thank you all and congratulations.
So as I was thinking about what I wanted to say today, there were two ideas that kept coming into my mind, and they were kind of connected, and so I kind of looked these up. One of them I remembered real well, but there are two quotes about parenting that I feel like you did for me and for us. And the first one is by Jonas Salk, who developed the polio vaccine, but he said that good parents give their children roots and wings. Roots to know where home is, wings to fly away, and exercise what's been taught them. And then the other one is from a guy named John Perkins, who does community development work in Mississippi. And I heard him say this in person one time when Marmy and I were down there. He said that a mom's job is to make home a safe place, and a dad's job is to make the world a safe place. And now, I know that moms they both do both of those things, but I think he's kind of saying moms take the lead in making home a safe place, and dads take the lead in making the world a safe place. And to me, that was connected with the whole idea of roots and wings, that when home is a safe place, you have roots, and when the world is a safe place, you have wings and can explore. Mom, you've done so much to make our home a safe place and a beautiful place. It was good food, beautiful surroundings. Our home felt like a place that we wanted to be and other people wanted to be. I can remember so many late night conversations with you, often between maybe Johnny Carson's monologue and the guests, and talking about the events of the day. And sometimes it's when I was coming home from something, Mom was still the one that was up, kind of debrief what had happened in the day and help me make sense of some of that. But Dad, on the other hand, was the one that was there in the mornings to get us up. And this way they complemented each other well. Dad would help get us up and make cereal, and if it was anything early morning, make sure that we were alarm out of bed at the right time, kind of drive us to where we needed to be, help us get there. And again, it's that same kind of thing. For me, it was coming home at night. Mom, if I had been out on a date or done whatever, Mom was still up, but Dad was there helping me get out and do and explore the world. Obviously, your faith was part of. We could all speak about that, of what part of what gave us roots that were not just about ourselves, but roots in who God made us to be. And I think what I would add to that is that it doesn't. If it's not real for you all, then it won't be real for us. And it was real for you, and so it was real for us. One other, just a couple stories that I'll share that were meaningful is, I thought about this recently because one of my sons had a car accident recently, and I was thinking about when I had a car accident as a teenager, and I called the house, and I was so glad that Dad answered the phone and not Mom, because I thought, okay, Dad will be calmer about this, and so you came to Verona where Marcia was in the car with me, where we'd been in the accident, and I don't remember any kind of, lecture, condemnation. It was, are you okay? I don't remember any driving privileges being revoked or any kind of anger. It was like, okay, you had an accident, so we'll get the car repaired and you get back in the car and keep doing what you need to do. I remember you went with me to court, and also, again, so navigating the world, like figuring out, okay, how do I go before a judge? How do I make this happen? So you were there helping me with that as well. I remember one time, Mom, when I was talking about our family going to all 50 states, Mom said, well, maybe we didn't take you to enough places. I'm like, no, it's kind of the opposite. We did so many things together as a family that, again, you guys helped us explore things and try things, from, going to Disney World to different beaches to state parks to, do y'all remember that fancy restaurant we went to in Tennessee that was at the train station? We had like this 6-course meal, and anyway, there's just so many things we experienced, that we grew up in this safe small town, but yet we got to experience so many things in the world that you exposed us to and let us try. And obviously for me, tennis was a big part of that. I think, Mom, you signed me up for tennis lessons early on at Mama and Papa's house is where I learned to play tennis. And your willingness to provide lessons, and it meant so much to me, because it was part of how I developed as a person. When you learn to apply yourself to something and then pursue it. And it wasn't probably a passion really of either of yours, but yet you played with us, you went to matches, you built a tennis court. I have a couple memories of playing tennis, a couple stories that I'll share. One was a time with Mom in West Virginia. And this match wasn't really going that well for me. And I could hear Mom kind of, or she was like, slapping her leg. And I went over to the, I'm like 16 or whatever. I went over to the fence and I said, okay, Oma, I'm having enough trouble out here with this opponent that I really can't handle hearing you right now. So if you could move a little further away from the court, that would be helpful. Now, I share that story and it's funny, but you were there with me. You were concerned. You guys had taken me to West Virginia to play in some small tournament, and I was losing to some guy that I shouldn't have lost to, but it was all good, and it was, and I'm grateful for that. I remember Dad being with me at a tournament in Fredericksburg, and Dad, there was a match that I was playing, and I don't remember necessarily how the match was going, but at one point, Dad's up on the top of the hill, and he shouts, he says, Brad, that guy's cheating you, and don't let him keep doing it. And like everybody's hearing this, the other courts. I'm like, okay. So I started calling my lines a little closer because this guy had called the lines a little closer, and I think I won that match, but that doesn't really matter. The point is, you took me all over the state to play tennis tournaments, and I appreciate it. The investment that each of us did things that were unique to who we were and what we enjoyed, and you let us follow those passions and you supported us in them. And that is part of, again, giving us both roots, but really giving us wings to explore those. So I just want to say thank you for making home a safe place. Thanks for making the world a safe place. And thanks for giving us roots and wings. I love you.
So if you ask most people, in Harrisonburg, is there a jungle in this area? They would say, no, of course not. There's not. There's mountains. There's forests. But some of the grandkids, we know that there actually is at least one jungle in Harrisonburg, and that is behind the pool in the jungle walk. It's really not much when you're older, but at the time, it was just so great. We'd be like, the jungle? Where is that? She said, oh, I'll take you. Oma would take us on the jungle walk. And it used to be such an adventure. It was an example of making a big deal out of the younger generation. I was really spreading joy. I think it's been cool to see how both of them kind of feel joy by giving. I remember when I was a kid getting all sorts of treats, and the Pop-Tarts. I used to always love Pop-Tarts, and all the cooking was so good. And I have another memory of Opa once taking me and Xander sledding, and we went on the big hills right next field over, and we'd go to the bottom, he'd drive us to the top, and then we'd go to the bottom. And I don't think we realized like how much that was at the time, but he was just like watching us, and I guess to him that was enough. that was so great. I really appreciate that. Because I know I would have been huffing and puffing, even just walking back up once, I would have given up. And so it really was just an example of joyfulness and spreading joy. I think there is a sort of way, like a hedonism, to sort of keep joy to yourself, but it's never like that. It really just, it starts and then it kind of radiates, and it spreads. And so it's so great to see that. I think the other thing that really, inspires, I think, the younger people here is that we're here. This 60th year, right? Here we are, right? Such a big family here. And I think in some ways the whole family being here is the result of you two sticking it through, right? Making it all this time is that we can kind of all gather because we see an example of perseverance through difficult times. I think you teach us that devotion goes beyond emotion, right? That you guys have been looking out for each other and caring for each other for so long, even through ups and downs. And I think that's just an example, and especially in an age where sticking with things is a little difficult for young people, maybe. And as other people have said, it's not like I really ever heard a testimony or a sermon from either of them where they necessarily told me what to do all the time. But they showed me what to do. And even more powerful that was. Because I think, especially as young people, when someone tells you what to do, you kind of resist it. But when someone shows you what to do, you admire it. And I think I do admire how you lived by example. And it's just been really powerful to see your faithfulness to each other, your joyfulness in giving and receiving and just being in the family. I think we're all blessed and better for that. And I think the theme of faithfulness to each other, of course, here we are kind of celebrating you. I think even greater, you've been faithful to God. I think God's faithfulness to us is so beautiful that we all are all here today. And I think you guys point to that. I think it's just, I think beauty is how I describe it, how it all works together. And so I'm thankful to share today. Thank you guys.
I knew my grandparents were extra special when I sat in my Blue Ridge class a couple years ago, and they told me there was still time to apply for the Dwight and Carolyn House Scholarship. After living with you all for a summer and spending a majority of my preschool days with you all, I have witnessed some of your greatest moments, including Oma asking Opa for directions to Outback. She said, "Dwight, which way should I go?" He told her to take a left. She quickly heard his answer and took a right. Oma, you infamously have the best toast, best noodles, and best banana bread. I spent a lot of my preschool days with you as you also cooked me the best soft carrots and let me play dress up in your closet. It made my day. And I dare say my love of fashion and dressing up has fed into me today, because we know I didn't get it from my mom. You were always intentional about asking how my day was at school and genuinely cared to hear the answer. I will forever cherish the conversations you and I have. Opa, I have lots of memories with you taking me to see the cows in the field near I-81. There wasn't always much talking, but we always have had the ability to relate to each other with minimum words. Here recently, you read me your journal that you wrote in Florida from when you were 14. Very detailed. I listened intently and loved getting the chance to listen to you, as you are often in the background listening intently to the conversations Oma and I have. While I could go on and on about the great qualities you both have, I want to focus on how well you balance each other out. Oma, you have gone out of your way to ask people how they are. You have unforced conversations with everyone you encounter. And Opa, you are always there to listen and offer others advice. I've witnessed you all support each other in the greatest ways and help each other through hard situations. Your love for each other is evident, inspiring, and an example to everyone around you. Every year, Opa texts me and asks me to put together a Facebook post for Oma for her birthday. He really wants to love Oma in one of her many love languages, Facebook. Sleepovers at Oma and Opa's house is something that didn't end in my childhood years, and I still enjoy doing it. Your all's house has always been a safe and comforting place for me to go. I've come to you all in some of my hardest days, and you all have sat there with me and helped me get my mind off of it. The two of you are honestly some of my best friends I had throughout high school, and I thank you for that. Your love for each other and for Jesus Christ has fed into this family, and it's led me to where I am today. We couldn't do it without you. So happy 60th anniversary to my two best friends who happen to be my Oma and Opa.
I, however, did listen to my brother's instructions. Notice my sisters did not. My brother asked us to say how our parents influenced us. So I kind of broke it down into a couple different categories, and I'm going to talk about each. But first of all, I'll give you the categories. They influenced me with church, grandparents, trips, and then just some small stuff that I'll explain later why it's small stuff. So first of all, with church. I just grew up with a ton of memories of literally just being at church. And they weren't memories of sitting in the pew. There's so many memories of playing kick the can and tag with my friends outside the church. I went to choir practice with you a lot. I don't know why. I don't know if nobody was around to watch me. I don't know if I wanted to go, but I remember just sitting at choir practice, sometimes watching you. Kelly Meyerhofer, Suzanne would have been in the choir, so maybe we met up there. And just time roaming around the church halls, and those were just really fun memories. Also, the fact that you guys were our youth group leaders at different times, so that was a really cool thing to see them not just love on, we've all got these common themes of not just us, but to love on other kids. I remember Opa took one of the young men into our living room one time and gave him quite a stern talking to. And I was like, that was kind of crazy, but I think that young man needed it. And again, just where Opa was willing to step in and sometimes be a dad even to other people. Kind of the second category is grandparents, and that kind of goes with extended families in general. I was telling my kids, who I dropped those two at Busch Gardens the other day. And I said, do you guys know how to get around? Do you understand the map? Yeah, we got it. They walked a ridiculous amount of miles around Busch Gardens because they weren't very organized. I have Busch Gardens memorized. We spent a ton of time there as a Howe family, going to Fort Magruder, going to Busch Gardens. I remember so many family meals. And that little restaurant, I don't even know what we want to call it, there at Fort Magruder. I remember you guys consistently went to the Cattlemen's Convention, and you always left me with Granny and Granddaddy. And that was just always a special time and something I would look forward to every year of getting the opportunity to stay with those grandparents. The Ringgold family, some things that I really remember there. July 4th picnic at Donald and Judy's was always a highlight of the year, and getting to play, again, sports is a common denominator there. Getting to play, this huge family softball, baseball game. I don't know what we played. Uncle Donald would have all these gloves lined up on that little shelf in his garage, and we'd get to pick a glove, and those were great memories. And again, being with Nanny and spending the night there. I have a ton of memories of just being in Nanny's backyard. That apple tree, knowing the neighbors on every single side of her house. And just when you live out in the country, you take for granted a neighborhood. So I always thought that was so cool that Nanny had neighbors and fun things to do there. And kind of what I'm going to call, when I kind of say small events, did you all go to Disney World? I didn't. I was left out of that one. But I don't remember any huge family trips. But to me, that's where I come back to the small stuff. Now Brad's stuck on when you went to Disney World.
No, we did. But we also went to England. And,
okay.
And
Mel
Germany.
wasn't there.
No, okay.
I'm including every. So the small stuff is a lot of the small trips that we took. Going to Pipestem. Again, that was sometimes with the Ringgold family, sometimes with church friends. I learned to play golf for the first, I don't know that I learned. I played golf for the first time at Pipestem. Going to that hotel in Winston-Salem. I don't know, y'all had your wedding. Brookstown Inn. We visited there a lot. I was always, ironically enough, I have a lot of great memories of rooming with Nanny at Brookstown Inn and at Pipestem. I would end up rooming with Nanny a lot, and those were great, fun memories. In otherwise small events just happening in our family, I remember having slide nights where we'd put the slides in those, y'all have no clue what I'm talking about.
Yes.
They do, this young generation. Putting slides in this carousel and showing them, and you would think that would be so small, but I just remember that was like the hugest deal. Like, you might as well have told me I was going to Disney World, because I love getting the slides out and seeing those kind of things. I remember one night that we all slept on the porch. Is there a reason?
It was electricity out or something, wasn't it?
So not again necessarily planned,
We were out by the wood stove.
but we all spent the night on the porch together. I would assume it was just the six of us. And again, that just really stands out in my mind. It's something that was really fun. One-time thing, but I can remember it very vividly. Christmas Eve was always a great tradition of how we basically did our gifts. We would go have a huge meal, go to church, and then come back and do family Christmas there on Christmas Eve. Of course, the tennis court was a huge memory in just playing tennis. And I often tell this story because I'm in front of people talking about sports a good bit. I always say I had more talent as a tennis player. I didn't love tennis that much. And I can very vividly remember all of you guys playing tennis. And I felt like I would somewhat stubbornly be on the side of the court bouncing a basketball, like I'm not going to play tennis. But somehow you guys did pull me into that. So to break down just a few things, Mom, I really remember you taking us to the pool a lot. I remember, again, as a little kid, you could barely see out the front of the car. It was a long ride to East Rock, I thought. And when we started to see this really tall corn, I'm like, okay, we're about there. I remember someone closed my foot in the car door when we got out of the pool. Nobody else remembers that. I think you did it. Yeah. But those were still really good memories. Dad, obviously, just a ton of time on the farm. And again, how that influenced me. I remember times that were really happy. I remember there were times that I was really scared. We used to I don't know why, we delivered water up on the hill below Doug's house. Does that make any sense to you?
Because the spring had fed that thing in case it would stop running.
And somehow it seems like we were doing that in thunderstorms. So again, some of those were scary things to me, but that built character. There was part of, hey, I'm in this scary world, but my dad's here, so things are going to be okay. So how all that comes together to really teach you things. Dad went to court with Brad. He went to driving school with me. I got just a few too many tickets. So when our daughter recently got a ticket, one member of our family was not very happy. And another member is like, it happened to me a good bit. So again, I kind of experienced the same thing Brad did there, of just feeling some grace in those situations. I think Mel and Robin were kind of like, we wouldn't have felt grace. So that's where it's just a birth order thing. You get a little bit more grace as you go down there. One particular, I got two more stories. One particular tennis trip that I remember, I don't know if I purposely did it or accidentally did it, but we had packed up that morning. We were both playing matches, so I'm sure it was a long day. And somehow when we were headed out of town, I'm thinking we were in Blacksburg, we were headed out of town, I realized that I had a hand towel from the hotel, a hand towel. We had passed our hotel 10, 15 minutes, had a long drive ahead of us, and I'm like, what's the big deal? I'll just keep it. Well, they were insistent that we needed to turn around and that I needed to return that hand towel. Do y'all remember that one at all? So again, super small, something that happened once, but to build that character in me that it doesn't matter if it's small. It doesn't matter if you meant to take it or you didn't. It doesn't matter if it's out of our way or not. You need to return it. And then one final story that I think will end us on a funny note. Well, and this would also be another just great memory of being in trips, is when we went to Myrtle Beach pretty regularly. I think our last one was in Outer Banks with the Ringgold family. And we went into a t-shirt shop in Myrtle Beach, and it was quote unquote a cheap t-shirt. It was somehow in the signage, it was saying it was a cheap value t-shirt or something like that. Well, by the time all of us got these t-shirts, you know, Dad's probably standing outside the entire time. He probably never even entered the store. But then by the time we come out and he sees the bill that he just paid, he's like, I don't get how that was a cheap t-shirt store. But I think that's the same trip that we all got the t-shirts with our names written down them. That we have a picture of that somewhere. So anyway, a lot of fun memories. That's I'm not, you know, in necessarily tears in this. I have great memories. I love hearing my kids now talking about some things and that we have passed on to them. So I know how much it means to you to just hear stories and fun things that we remember. And so awesome to see the generations. That this wasn't a one-time thing in one family. I like the way you worded it, that a new family was birthed or born, and look what it's come into. Lots of little families, but still connected as one big family. So congratulations, and thank you so much.
I was working in DuPont, shift work, got off 4 to 12, changed clothes, got in the van. We had Brandon's car seat bungee strapped to the engine compartment in the van. Mm-hmm. So not even legal in any way, shape, or form. I drove
Headed to Florida,
going to Disney World in Sarasota.
And we went through the night because Brandon was so little.
Yeah, so he could sleep.
left at midnight.
I was wide awake, so I drove the first leg. And I don't remember exactly if the timing, whether we were at Sarasota first or we went to Disney World first. But anyway, we got into Disney World.
You were coming home.
Late one evening. So we'd been in Sarasota for a couple days. Go to Disney World. We get in there late one evening, and it took us a while to find the place we were in, staying. And was it Chase? Where's Marcia?
Chase.
Mm-hmm.
He's sleeping out on the porch.
Chase Hale.
It's
You know him, Clayton? You know him?
He was out on the porch. Melody and I were downstairs. I think Marcia was upstairs with a little loft.
We were in a king bed.
Yeah.
Yes.
The three of them
On
were
the
upstairs
loft.
on the loft.
loft.
Yeah.
So Carolyn says, Dwight, I need my red bag.
Can they hear it?
Say it loud.
I need my red bag.
Maroon.
Maroon bag.
Doesn't matter.
Maroon bag. Maroon bag. It was maroon. So he goes down to the van. He comes back. And, you know, we're all just as tired as we can be. Dwight, that's not the right maroon bag. So he goes back down to the van, gets another bag. He comes back. Dwight, that's still not the right maroon bag. I don't remember what you said, but it was probably something like, well, damn it, how many red bags do you have?
I think he won the third time, didn't he?
He
got
went
the
out
right
the third
one.
time. He did bring the right maroon bag back. But that was a fun trip, and it was just to travel on a van. Everybody got along. Everybody had a fun time, and it was just an early stage of the generosity that I saw, and how they treated me
Helped
and my
raise you.
family. What's that?
We helped raise you.
You did. You helped mold me in a better way, probably, than what some of my first early days were.
If you can see this setting, it was about 1 o'clock in the morning, and like Mike said, we were whipped, everybody, and it was quiet. And she was whispering all this stuff, and everybody heard every word. Everybody in the place heard every word that was said. The wrong bag.
You ignore it, and you're like, okay, certainly still get the right one this time. By the third time, we are like up and saying, let's go help him get the right bag. Come on,
Thank you.
we got to do this.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead. You go ahead.
You won.
No, you go.
Well, this has all been great. Just what we wanted. And It's amazing how many of you kids and grandkids can speak so well in front of a group. I mean, it's just, it amazes me that y'all are able to do that, because I'm not, of course you must get that from your dad, I'm not one that speaks in public that well. Each one of you have made my dream come true, because my dream was to be a wife and a mother and a grandmother, and I never thought past grandmother to be a great grandmother. But that's been my dream, and each one of you have helped that come true, and I appreciate that. You say something, maybe I'll think of what else I would do.
No, I'm not going to elaborate any more on what you said. You said it just right. This was a nice setting today, a nice meal, and thank each and every one of you for being here. And gosh, especially the ones that got up early this morning.
6 o'clock. Yeah.
6 o'clock to leave from Nags Head. And every one of you made the effort to be here. It's been fun. And you all made me tear up several times, so I'm not going to touch back on family things. No need to go back there. It's been good. I'm going to share with you, and you may not enjoy this. I don't know if you will or not, but when I was 15 years old, I took a trip with one of my cousins to Sarasota, Florida, and we went by train. He was a couple years older than I was, and I remember I was 15 because the date was March the 31st, 1956. Okay? And when I was 15 years old, you can gather whatever you want to. I kept this little journal. I just found it recently. I'm going to read you for just one day. And it'll be interesting for you if you can tell anything about my thinking at 15 years of age, what I put in this thing, okay? It's kind of funny what I put down. Here it is. We got up later than usual. We were supposed to get up at 5:45 to go fishing with Granddaddy. Now, Granddaddy was a big fisherman in Sarasota. He had this little boat, but his highlight of every day was to fish from that boat, okay? This was Harry Health, 2 years older than I was. I won't tell you about all the experience going down there on a train, but we got too late to Richmond to catch the train we were supposed to, so we had to go a couple hours later and this and that. But here it is, one day's diary. Granddaddy packed our lunches, and we got dressed. We ate breakfast at a restaurant. We went out on the Gulf about 4 miles from shore. It was too rough to fish. Coming back, everyone got completely soaked. When big waves hit the front of the boat, water was all over us. We had a covering of salt on our faces. We rode back out to the Gulf for about 8 miles. We tried fishing in one of the bays, and Granddaddy caught lots of fish, lots of whiting. That's a fish. I sunbathed and slept most of the time. We came in about 2:15. We gave the fish away and went to Sunshine Springs Gardens, where Harley and I saw water ski show. The boys and girls were tanned almost black. I don't mean brown, I mean black. There were 2 blondes, a redhead, and 2 brown-haired girls. That blonde was something. And now I said man, and I underlined man. We took some color pictures of the ski performers, and we looked around the gift shop. We came home about 5:15. We ate supper of string beans, dressing and gravy, fish, Jello, and apple butter. We took showers. I can't read my own writing. We took showers and put on plenty of tanning cream. My neck was sore, although I kept my shirt on all day. We got cleaned up after and went to see a movie at the Florida. That was the name of the theater. It was entitled The Last Frontier and starred Victor Mature. After the show, we took a taxi home for 95 cents. We ate some ice cream and strawberries and wrote in our diaries and went to bed at 11:30. That was my account of a day in Florida.
I know Granny kept a diary. Was that did a lot of people do that then?
I don't know. I kept this one for 4 days and I quit.
You like that?
I said something to Harry the other day. I saw him, Harry. I said, Harry, I found my little diary from Florida, our trip. And he said, yeah. He said, do you remember coming home? I asked one of the conductors walking through, I said, why are we stopping at every little space so often? And his answer was, well, all these people, these older people go to Florida and they die. And when we come and bring them back home, we're dropping them off. That was what Harry remembered of our trip to Florida. That was the answer he got from the ticket man. We're dropping off these dead people going back north. I don't believe any of that, but that's what was told. This was a nice day. Thank each and every one.
all of you for being here. And each of you are precious to us, each one of you.
I don't think she initiated that first kiss either, but I'll let her say she did. Okay?